everyone, welcome back to the lecture on the course Python Fundamentals Building Blocks for Aspiring Developers. So this is the fifth module and we will look at the mini assignment that we shared with you in the previous lecture. So quickly let's go over the assignment. So the assignment was that you need to create a Python script that is supposed to manage students. So there's an empty list which is students to store student records. Each student will have a name, age, and a grade. Then we will have functions add, view, update, and delete students. Using a while loop, you will display some options to the user, and based on that, user will select the option and perform that option. And there should also be an option to quit, and then you should be able to test your program. So moving on to the solution, here's just a bit of idea. So first you need to decide a data structure to hold the student data. It could be a list of lists or a list of dictionaries. Like the student list is a list, but each entry of each student could be a list, could be a dictionary that you have to decide. Then you have to create each of the four functions, then create the functions and write the codes, test the functions individually, use a loop to iterate through the menu. We use a while loop with an infinite condition until the user quits. So you could use, like, it depends on the use case. We will be probably using a while loop. You could also use for loop or other loops according to what you seem good, and add the functionality for quit, and also connect the functions to the menu inputs. So this is just an idea. There are a lot of ways in which this can be done. Obviously, it's not that one way is correct and the other one is not correct, even if both of them are working. We will get to the solution of this one in this video, and you can just compare if something you did makes sense or it does not make sense, and how you can make it better. So let's start coding. So first I want to open up Visual Studio Code. So what I want to do is I want to create a new file. Instead of creating it here, I will just say, yeah, new file. I'll say mini assignment underscore 5 for module 5.py. So what I'm going to do is that, let me quickly write down the questions, right? So this is the main thing, that I'm copying this, coming here, paste, and I'm going to make all of it as a comment so I know what I'm doing. Okay. So let me just quickly do it like this, so it is also easy for me to read the questions as I'm doing the job. So first what I'm going to do is that, okay, define an empty list. Students to this. Okay, this is the students. So first I will start by creating functions. It's better to create all the functions in the start before the actual code. So first let's create a add student. But before that we need to decide on the structure of our students. So let's say this is a list which is students is equals to empty list according to this. Now the list should have the three things. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a dictionary. Like my students are going to be like this. Name, whatever the name of the student is, then I'm going to say age, whatever the age is, let's say 22, and then I'm going to say um, grade, let's say grade, and whatever the grade is, let's say this. So this is one student, I'm going to put it over here. Then the next student will be like this, and then the next student would also be like this, and so on. This is how I'm going to store students. When someone deletes a student, this entry will be gone. View the students like this. You could also like create a list like this. You could say, okay, this is the name, this is the age, and this is the grade. You will always know that the first index is the name, second is the age, and third is the grade. But I'm not going to do it like this. It's your personal choice. So this is what it's going to look like. This is my students. Now let's create function to add the students. So I'm going to say add student, and in the add student function, what I'm going to take is the students list, because I'm going to add anything to this list, anything that I create to this list. Okay. Oops. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the inputs from the user. So I'm going to say name is equals to input, and here I'm going to say enter student name. Then we want the age, so we say age is equals to, age is going to be an integer value. We say input enter student age, right? And then one more thing we're going to do is the grade. So we say grade is equals to, grade is going to be a float value. So we say input enter student grade, like this. So now we have everything there. Now we need to append that into the students list. So we say students.append, and in this one I'm going to append what? A dictionary. I can also create a dictionary here separately, like I could say temp underscore dictionary is equal to dictionary, and here I could say dot append temp dictionary, but I'm just going to create it here. So what, the first thing is what? Name. So I will say name of the student is what? Name, right? We have age of the student. Age of the student is age, and then we have grade of the student, and grade of the student is the grade. So this one dictionary is appended into this one, right? And then we could also print a message saying print. Let's just do it like this. Okay, let's say student added successfully. Okay, yeah. So we have this function now. Student is ended. Instead of here, I would say students. Yeah, get rid of this one. So this is our add student functionality. Now the next one I'm going to make is the view student. So I'm going to say view students, and here I again need to pass the students, all of them, because I need to view them. So here what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to check if there are any students in the list, like in the start, if there are no students. So what I could do is that if students, okay, if I could do this, if length students is greater than 0, that is one thing to do. Or I could simply write if students. So this means that if there is something in just students, if the students is not empty, then you could proceed. Okay. So we say print, and we're gonna say student records. Okay, so these are the student records, and then we are going to use a loop. So I'm going to use this enumerate loop for idx student in enumerate, and here I'm going to say okay students, but instead of starting from 0, I will say start from 1. Okay, you will see why. So I'm going to say print, and in the print I'm going to use a new syntax that I will share with you guys after I write it. This is the index, like the name that I want to give. Then I want to say name of the student, and the name of the student is what? It is student, and then the student, we have this name. Okay, and then I'm going to say the age of the student is what? Just copy this one. Don't worry, I'll explain it to you after I finish writing this line. And then I will say grade of the student is this, and grade, and that's all. And else, if the students are not there, you could say print. No records found. That's all, right? So what happens here is that in the F, what I'm going to do is that if I its proper string. Okay, I put f in the start that says now it can be formatted in a different way. So if I want to print some variable here, I can simply put it in a square in this curly brackets in the same string. So for example, if I were to do it like this, print, and I would say idx comma, and then I would say index or maybe whatever it is, let's say name. So it would be like this, and then oops, then I would do like this, name, and then comma, and then just try and sort of these things. But in this one, we can just put them in curly braces so we know how it looks. So what I'm doing here in the name is that name in the students. Okay, I need to give it students, or in fact student, because we're going over here. Yeah. So it says, okay, for this student, give me the name. Like it is just indexing or iterating through a dictionary. So now we have this. Now this function is working. Now let's go on and define the next one. So we say update underscore student. So we want to update one student, but we still need the complete list of the students. So first, we need to check if the students are there. If students, yeah. So if the students are there, first we need to see all the students. What we're going to do is that we're going to visualize all the students and then the person can select. We can simply use the previous function, this one. We can simply use this function to view the students, create a list, and then we say index of the student, like which one you want to do. So this index is like the numbering at the start, 1 dot, 2 dot, just to number the lines. So we say we need to get the input of the index they want to update. So we say input. In the input, we say we need to ask them enter the index you want to update. Enter the index of student you want to update this, and then we say -1 because index starts from 0. Here we just added started from 1, so everything was added to it. So now what we're going to say is that if we need to see if index is within the number of students. Like if there are 5 students, the user cannot enter 6, and the user cannot even enter 0, because if the user enters 0, there's nothing at 0, right? To show this, I'm just going to comment this out here, right? And I'm going to add one student here just for the visualization purposes. Name of the student is, let's say, Harry. Age of the student is what, 21, and grade of the student is, let's say, 9.67, right? Now I'm going to say these students and and if I run this, Python debugger, so this is how it's going to appear. One is here the index, and this is how it's going to appear here. So the user needs to select either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, user cannot select 2 because there's only one student. What if we wanted to add a student? Let's say add student. Simply, as well as we're doing it, let's just test the add student as well. This one, if I run the code, it says name of the student, let's say Carl, age of the student 23, student grade, let's say 8.9. Added successfully. Now the view students is called. Now we have 2 students. So we see both of these are working, right? So now let's come over here and start working on this one again. So if the index is less than the length of the students, this means that, I mean, if there are 4 students, you cannot have the index of 5, and then it again should be what, greater than 0 or equal to 0. So So now what I'm going to see is that I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to ask for each of the things. Like I'm going to say name is equals to input. So for the name input, we're going to say enter new student name, or we could just get rid of this one because student name cannot be changed. We can simply change age and grade. So we say age is equals to enter student, enter student age, or we can also put the name instead. Maybe someone wrote the name incorrectly. Yeah, enter new student name like this, and in the A we want to go input like this. In the input we say control X. Oops. Yeah, like this. Enter new student age, and then the final thing we can say is grade is equals to grade is probably float. Let's see what we put over here. Yeah, grade is float, and then we say input enter float, enter student grade, and we can also say press enter to skip, like if they do not want to change it. I'm going to give this option on each of these like this, okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say if you want to change an input, that's fine. If you press enter to skip, then the name will remain the same, like student's name and everything will remain the same. It will not be updated. Like if there's an input, then enter the input, or if this is nothing, then give this to name. So if they give something new, then that thing will be added to the name. If they say, okay, I'm going to skip, then the name that is already there will be added to the name variable. So it becomes easier for us to update later on. We do this, we do this. Here just we need to change the age. Here we change the grade. And now we need to add that to the student. So we say students at what index, this index, and then we're going to say is equals to, let's just copy this one from here, copy, yeah, and here we say grade, here we say age, and here we say name. Yeah, so we're just going to overwrite it. If something has changed, it will be changed over here. If it is same, it will be same, but that thing will be overwritten. And then if we say else, and we could say okay, print if the user has entered an uh, invalid index, we could say invalid index. And then if the students are already not existing, then we could say else, and we say print no student record found. Yeah, that's it. Now let's quickly do the delete student. So for the delete student, I'm going to do sort of a similar thing. First, I'm going to do view students. If the students are there, then I'm going to say, okay, you need to view the students. Then you need to give the ID of the student you want to delete. And then I'm going to check if the ID is there. And then after that, let me just paste everything else you want to delete. Now, once I have the ID, what I can do is that I'm going to just simply delete the student. So I can say delete students and ID. So this is a new syntax. So delete means just delete that item. Okay. Then I can say print student deleted successfully. But if the is not there, then I can simply say invalid index or student not found. So everything seems correct. All of the functions are here, right? So instead of testing the functions, I'm just going to write the code for the complete one. You can just, but for better practices, it's recommended that you test the function. So I'm going to make quite a while loop so that it always runs. So first I'm going to this one. Now I'm going to create a menu. So I'm going to say, okay, let's just say student management services, and then I'm going to say, okay, print the menus. So the first menu is let's say one dot add student, and then I'm going to just copy paste this. Yeah. Because I have four five things: add student, delete, update, and all those things. Okay, and I'm going to say view students. So it since it is on this terminal, the user will have to enter the name like the number here for the menu 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so we have add student, view student, and then we have update student, and then we have delete student. The final menu is for the quit, right? Now we need to do what choice the user makes. Okay, so first we need to ask the user for a choice. So we say choice is equals to input, and then you want to say enter your choice, and once the user enters their choice, we say if choice is equals to this one, then what we need to do, we need to call the add student function. So we say add student, and we need to pass the students to them. Then we say elif choice is equals to 2. Then what we need to do, we need to say view students, and again elif if choice is equals to what, 3. Our choice this 1 2 and 3 is a string because we did not convert them here into an integer, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so if the choice is 3, then we need to do update student, and we say students, and then if our choice is, let's say, is equals to 4, oops, my bad. Then what I'm going to say for the 4 one, we say delete student, and if the choice is 5, for the quit one is equals to 5, what I'm going to do, so there's two ways here. One is that you can simply use this exit function. This will close the program, or I could also use this break, because once we get out of the loop, there's nothing more to run and it will exit. But before that, I will say print um, exiting the program. And here I'm just going to remove this and just going to print one last line, say program ended, and that would be all. So this is now our function, right? So I've named it mini assignment 5. You could name it student management system. And now let's run it. Do this. Everything seems fine. So now let's view students. So I already added one student there, right? So I will add a couple more students. I'm going to enter my choice. Okay. Add student, student name, let's say Kelly. Age of the student, let's say 21. Grade is, let's say 8.9. Hit enter. Now if we view students, I'm entering my choice, and it says, okay, these are the student records. There are two students out there, right? Now I can update the student 3. So which student I want to update, 1 or 2? Let's say I want to update number 1. So I say number 1. It says, okay, enter the name of the student. I say first it was Harry. Maybe it was with a single name, single R. I misspelled it. Harry. Entered the age. Now the student is 22 years age. 1 year after that. And it says enter student grade. So what I'm going to say, okay, now the new grade is 9.5. Hit enter. Now I'm going to view the students, and it has changed, right? Everything has changed. Now I can also delete the student. using 4. I'm going to delete the second one, number 2. Then I will do students, only one student out there, right? Then finally I can do 5, quit, and the program has ended. So you see, this is how you can create a proper management system. So this was one of the like kind of a practical example of how you can use programming, different concepts, different techniques to create useful projects. So again, um, if you were able to do this by yourself, that's really good. If you weren't, try and see the code that we did. You can even make changes or do something else that is similar to this but gets the job done. And that is how you will keep on practicing and improving. And that will be all for this lecture, and we will meet you in the next one. Up till then, goodbye.